I'm building in the magic realm, and this is the final part of my Glimmerbrook save file, which I've been working on for a couple of months. I believe it's s- like I guess 8 parts for each of the builds, and I have a whole playlist for it if you're interested in catching up on all the builds that are going to be in the save file. I have been working on doing the create a sim and giving all the sims I made proper skills and stuff like that. And I'm hoping it'll be done pretty soon. I spent some time tonight working on it, and so I finished all the creative sim, and I just have to do a few more little things, and then I should be able to upload it as a downloadable save file. And so for this build, I decided that I wanted to do something that looked a little castle-y, but it didn't turn out that way completely. I did have a couple of reference pictures that I used as inspiration while I was building this, which I'll pull those up as I'm doing it so you could kind of get an idea of what I was going for with them. So here is the first picture, and normally for my inspiration pictures that I choose, I mostly go based off of the shape that I want, and then I do my own details and color palette and things like that. So in this reference picture, it is a stone castle. I end up doing a wooden type structure because that's what I was envisioning when I wanted to redo the Magic Realm. I wanted something that was made of wood, and I wanted this to kind of be like the oldest building in Glimmerbrook. And so for the second reference picture, I ended up picking something that kind of looked like a bunch of stores because I knew that I would need extra space in this lot for all of the sort of like classrooms that I wanted, because I also have a plan of converting this to work in Copperdale. I just need to play test it to make sure that everything is functional for high school gameplay. I also want to redo the surrounding terrain to blend it into that lot because this is specific to the Magic Realm, and because it's such a smaller lot than the high school, there's a lot of empty space. So I'm going to stream um like fixing everything up that needs to be fixed up to have it fit in that lot. And of course it's not going to like actually look like it fits into that world because this is a magical building, and I know that it, like Copperdale's high school lot, looks very suburban American with like a big football field in the background, which definitely is not going to look as nice with this. But at least I could send my Sims to school in this sort of style build, and I think it'll be really fun. And so for these builds, this one right here on the right that I'm working on, this ends up being where the 3 offices for the sages are. And I'm really happy that I remembered to include them in this because I was going to completely forget about them. And then while I was working on it, I was like, wow, I should give them their own little classrooms because I think that'll be cute. And so each of the 3 sages have their own themed classrooms that kind of touch on the magic that they do and the sort of like potions they make and like spells that they learn, like that sort of thing. And I kind of like looked through a bunch of stuff on what each of them do and try to find objects that correspond with it. Some of them are stretches, but we'll get to that later. This is a pretty long video. Well, technically it's 2 builds in one video, and the outside took me a very long time. As you could see, I'm placing a bunch of these rocks. I do end up skipping over me placing them around the entire build. Just know that they surround this entire cliff because I do not like the terrain paint in this slot, and my way of fixing that is by placing rocks everywhere, which is one reason why I'm really glad that I learned how to use Tool Mod, because it allows me to actually make terrain and enjoy it, because before I didn't know what I was doing and all I would see was the ugly terrain paint that was poking through that I couldn't fix, and it, like, discouraged me from learning terrain and stuff. And now I kind of like, well, now I'm better at it because I've practiced for about a year now doing it. And for the terrain, I pretty much just like raised one of the like one of the builds up onto a steeper slope. And I was really trying to not make it as steep because it looked a little funny, but I couldn't manage it for some reason, and instead I placed some defining rocks around to give it like more of a definition than just like a very steep looking slope. Maybe it worked. Some of the Sims walk right through the rocks is what I noticed. And yeah, some of them don't actually walk down that pathway that I made for them. So if you do download it, it ends up your Sims will walk through the rocks. So you're just gonna have to look away as they do that. Which also reminds me that this is going to be on the gallery. I decided that I'm going to upload all of my save file lots using the hashtag Kyber Glimmerbrook, which I'll also have listed below so that it's easier to find and look up. But it's also just on my gallery. My gallery ID will be listed below as well. So for all that landscaping that I just did, I pretty much wanted to have a lot of greenery around, but I also wanted to tie in the pink cherry blossom trees that you can find all over the Magic Realm. And it's just like Magic Realm has a very like purpley pink glow about it. And I wanted to replicate that using the pink mushrooms and the pink flowers around. And then for this build, it's all a lot of different like weathered brown wood. I do end up changing the lighter log, a like log square area into a different wood, which I'm glad that I end up doing because I think it sticks out a little bit too much right now. And that's not really what I want. So I end up changing that. And I don't know what I was doing with those weird fences along the wall. I guess I was just trying something different, but it made me like discover those little pillars that I place at the entrances of each of these two builds. I also changed these columns out after as well. I wanted to use these horse ranch ones, but I decided that I liked the get together ones that I use as accent columns around pretty much the entire build. I also use them in between a bunch of windows and stuff just to give it like more of a like a sturdy wooden vibe to it. I don't know if that's what it does, but I really liked the look of it. And I've been really liking adding extra roof pieces into like in between the different stories of my builds. I think it really helps to make it look a little bit more detailed and a little bit more put together and less blocky. And so I did that a bunch with like that entire build over there. I don't think I do it with this one over here, but that might change because I don't always remember what I do. And I went around, oh yeah, this is the columns that I was talking about. I placed them in between those stained glass windows and stuff like that. The inside I also make completely wooden, and I place a bunch of wall cracks and holes and stuff because I wanted this place to look really old and run down. Which I guess starts to be incorporated in the exterior when I begin putting all the ivy literally everywhere. That's when it really comes together, I think. Because right now it looks very plain. And I'm just going through and I'm changing swatches and I'm adding columns places to make it look more detailed, especially with G Shade on because it like enhances the shadows of stuff. And so the more like items you have on the walls, it creates more like definition, I guess you could say. And so that's kind of why I place these columns around everywhere. And I really like the windows that I ended up using for this. My favorite ones are just the brown base game ones that are lining those long walls over there. And because I think that the inside ends up being very beautiful with those, because there's like a lot of greenery and plants and wisteria, and there's some nice little benches that are like green and red and stuff, and it just ends up looking really nice together. But yeah, you could see that like the light wood didn't look as good with those darker columns, so I changed it up to that darker wood, and I think that really helped save the build because it like stuck out way too much. But yeah, this is all of the ivy that I'm placing around. I do it to both this one and the other build. That's just what I end up doing with all of my builds. I think it makes them look a lot nicer because it looked so plain before. If you're ever like struggling with not like knowing how to add more details to your build, that's what I do. Because I know that other people they like get very creative using different items to like create really detailed builds. I can't do that very well. So I just place the Discover University ivy pretty much all around it, and then I layer it with wisteria, and I really like how it ends up coming out. I'm sure you'll notice that there's more abrupt changes in my voiceover, and that's because like for the last few days, my voice has been like so scratchy and itchy when I talk for long periods of time, which I learned when I was attempting this voiceover last night, which I did a whole thing, and it was just like too much, and my throat hurt so much after, and it was just a nightmare. So I'm taking it very slow tonight. I'm taking little breaks in between and drinking a lot more water as I'm doing the voiceover. It also has given me some time to like sit and think about what like applies to this build because normally my brain when I'm talking for like 30 minutes at one time, it just trails off sometimes. I don't know. But yeah, I really love the wisteria in this build. I think that it looked nice with just the ivy before, but this makes it feel like more of what I wanted. It looks very swampy almost, which reminds me that when I was attempting this voiceover yesterday, that I said that I might want to add a little swamp around the bigger lot in Copperdale when I do place this on the school lot. I think that might work, but I'll have to that's just something I'm gonna have to see once it's on the lot because when I placed this down just to see what it would look like there, it was, like, jarring. It was just so different, and my landscaping looked completely different there as well. It's, like, a huge 64 by 64 lot, and this only took up, like, a little portion of it, and I thought this was a big lot. Like, I when I had started this, I was like, "What am I gonna do for this?" Because I'm getting burnt out from doing giant builds and having to furnish them and like landscaping them and also editing it because when I edit my videos, it takes a pretty long time to edit it down, especially because these ones are about an hour and 10 minutes sped up, and I had to sit there and, like, go through it and make sure that, like, there's not too much flickering in the speed build itself and, like, cutting out a lot so that the video isn't an hour long. See, I trailed off. I don't know where that point was going, so I apologize. But this other part of the build is my favorite part. It is these mushrooms that are all over the roof. I think that it really tied everything together. Like those mushrooms and the wisteria, I think were like the key elements that sold me on that exterior for that one. And the build over here, it definitely has a lighter color palette than the very brown wooden castle type build next door. This one has light gray stones, and I mixed a couple of different stones. So I have a gray brick, I have the horse ranch stone, and maybe that's it. But then I have my like typical accent half timber walls. This one has the diamond pattern on it because I guess I thought it looked nicer. And I had this very flat wall in the back that I was able to put a whole bunch of ivy on and a lot of wall cracks, holes everywhere. I definitely cut out some. This I did on the other build as well and on the inside. I didn't do a lot on the inside of the little build on the right 'cause at that point, I was like, "It's not necessary. I'm just putting wall cracks to put wall cracks." Like, one time, I was entering a friend's shell challenge, and I just sat there placing wall holes everywhere because I wanted it to be like the wallpaper was completely destroyed. Never again will I do that. But it looked really cool and really nice, which I just found out that we're getting like more dirty wall swatches in the new For Rent expansion pack. And I'm really excited for that. I feel like after this, we probably don't even need any more. I think that if we get any more like wall cracks and like dirty wall like accent pieces, it will probably be unnecessary because I think like we have everything we need now. And before we didn't, before I just relied on the vampire or like wall holes for everything. I used to use that to pretend like it was mold, but now we're getting actual mold swatches. So I'm really excited to build with the new pack when it comes out. I don't know what I'm gonna build yet, and I don't know when I'm gonna build that. I would really like to have a build using the pack up the Monday after the pack comes out, but who knows if I'll be able to build and edit that fast. And with my voice, like my throat has been irritated as if I talk too long, that I'm trying to give my voice a break. And I think it'll be okay. I think I'll be able to post a video next week. Because it's not going to be this 30-minute long video. This one is probably the last like super long video, at least for a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. I had told myself that this was going to be the last large build so that I could kind of just like have fun with a very little build that I like building and it's easy to edit in like a couple of hours. But up here is the second floor of the like main school building. It has two bathrooms up top. Oh, okay. Well, immediately I went downstairs, but upstairs is going to be the, like, study area. There's a, like, astrology classroom up there, 2 bathrooms, and a little art room. That's pretty much what's up there. But this part is the nurse's office. I was making a, like, entryway, like, you kind of walk in, and if you're late to school like I always was, you'd sign in and give your excuse that you were late because you were sick when you really weren't. And that's what I was imagining for the front desk, but then I guess somewhere along the way it changed to a nurse's office, which I'm glad it did because now there's a bed on the lot, which is good because like now your Sims can sleep in the magic realm overnight for like a little bit, except like when I was taking the screenshots of this build and I like had all the three sages added to my family, everyone was in misery. So you really can only have one sim stay overnight because there's only one bed, or else it's a nightmare. But anyway, I fit in a very tiny bathroom on the side because I figured that you kind of needed a bathroom right by the nurse's office because the closest one besides that is up the stairs, and there are a lot of stairs, so might as well have a little bathroom right off to the side there. And these windows, this is like my favorite little areas in the build, I think. There's 3 of these. They all look very similar. They all have plants around. They have benches and candles, and that's, like, the vibe for each of them, but I really like that little sitting area for this. Also, before I had taken the screenshots to show at the end of this video, I was, like, questioning if it would make sense to have a school here for the Magic Realm, but as I was, like, doing that, I realized that everyone really is just studying the tomes and the magic tomes, and they're all using cauldrons and stuff. So it kind of fit in. It's kind of like everyone does just come here to, I guess, study and research magic. And I'm glad that I have multiple cauldrons in this build because some guy was just like experimenting with a cauldron for the entire time I was taking pictures and stuff. So I had to go to a different room, and some of the stuff wasn't functional at first. I had to move, like, some outside, environment pieces away from the builds because for some reason, even though they're outside, occasionally they'll make things unplayable. And then the game will tell you that it's something else that's making it unplayable. Another thing that was making this build unplayable were these chandeliers. You could see it right like in the frame here. Those your Sims sometimes have trouble walking under, but like the game will tell you it's something else. And so, like, one was a desk. I was like, I don't want to get rid of one of the like students' desks. Like, that's the important key element. And then I was like, wait, maybe it's just the chandelier. And it was. So all the rooms were functional from what I could see. Uh so I'm going to, of course, like upload this as the magic realm, but when I do the makeover for the school, I'll like make sure it's even more okay and that there's no bugs because I know how aggravating it would be to play a lot, like a high school lot, and it'd be broken because I'm sure the gameplay is buggy itself. I've only played it once, but I remember my Sims taking forever to go to class just in general. But this classroom over here is kind of where I guess it would be like almost like a science lab is what I was thinking. That's why there's cauldrons on these tables and there's scales and stuff. So I would think that the teacher would be at the bigger cauldron and then the kids would be making them at their lab stations. And there's only two. It's a very small school. I guess it's like a private magic school or something. And just some more clutter, different pieces around. I know that that cabinet is cutting into the wall a little bit on the other side. I didn't think it was too noticeable, so I kind of kept it there. The piano still works behind it, so that's not an issue. Surprisingly, the piano was working even though there's a chandelier right by it. So I guess it picks and chooses when your sim can walk under a chandelier or not. I also put some chairs at the back in case like someone's just sitting in on the lecture or something. There's some place for them to sit. And now this is the upstairs. This is what I was imagining just being the computer room. This is where they kind of study in between classes and things like that. Wait, now I'm thinking if you need a gym in the high school, because if you we need a gym in the high school, I'm gonna have to make a basement because I don't know where to fit that in. But I feel like I remember there being one. Unless I'm misremembering, because I haven't played with high school years in a long time. Anyway, that's not relevant right now. For this clutter, I was going for, like, warm tones and, like, red accents, so I have a bunch of fall leaves on the counters behind the like, desk areas, different orange pieces with, like, the, crystal ball and just like pinkish potion bottles around to tie it all in. Different gold accents around as well. There's two of these sitting areas up here by the windows because I really liked these windows. I think I appreciate it more because they didn't have like a different swatch in the interior as it does the exterior, which I've seen a lot of windows have, but this one was both brown. So I was like really appreciating that it looked beautiful on the inside too, because I don't ever remember which ones aren't like the same on both sides. And so I was like, "Oh, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep it anyway." And this hallway area, I didn't want it to just be empty hallway, so I put some easels around here, I put some paintings hanging up. Um, just like it's not really a classroom or anything, it's just a place that you could paint while you're here, just to give another activity for Sims to do in this lot. This one is the astrology classroom. So I kind of went through and I picked a lot of things revolving around the moon for like art pieces hanging on the wall. So it'd be like a classroom where there's just like a bunch of different material pieces hanging up that you could look at. That's kind of what I was going for this. And like I think I filtered by moon and I used a lot of werewolf pack items for the clutter in this part. Decoration stayed pretty consistent through the whole build. I kind of used the same sort of pieces, with like different like the same columns, different plants around, and lots of books and different gold accents as well. So in the other room, I had gold candles as accents. In here, I'm using those gold frames, which I don't think was intentional to keep like a lot of gold accents. I think that's just what I like doing for this color palette. Usually, if I'm using a lot of brown wood, I tend to lean towards reds and gold as the accent, as well as green. That's my go-tos all the time. I squeeze in a little teacher's desk. I don't know if that like is an element of the high school lot that you might need or not, but I put one in just in case. And for this clutter, I decided to just put a bunch of these books around. Normally I'm against me putting a bunch of the same item lined up, but I think that the books look really nice and I use different like swatches and stuff to make it seem like there's various different books there. And I think it turned out really nice for like a makeshift bookcase for that. And over here, I just add some pictures on the wall to tie in with the art easels that I placed, just because I want there to be enough things for Sims to do. I've been playing a base game legacy save for myself, and I noticed that community lots just have nothing for your Sims to do. So I wanted to make sure that there was like at least options. And I think I have a stereo in this. I don't know if I should have put a TV or not. I think maybe a TV would be a little bit annoying to have because I think everyone will kind of go towards it. Where like everyone goes towards the computers too, but there's only two computers. Up here, I made another cauldron room because I ran out of ideas. And this time, though, I made it like really overgrown. So as you climb up these towers, it's almost as if the outside like foliage has kind of creeped inside for this, and they kind of just let it happen over time because they liked the look of it. And I love these get together windows where they have like little bits of yellow stained glass in the middle. They look really nice, and I don't use them as often as I'd like to because I think they're for medium wall heights, and almost never do I use medium or tall wall heights because it's very difficult to decorate and make it look nice. But sometimes the exterior needs the taller wall height to work. And this is the floor plan for the second building. This one was going to have like where all the classrooms were mostly, but then I came up with the idea that I wanted the sages to have their own sections. And so they're not classroom functional because I didn't put the whiteboards in them or anything, but there are two desks. So kind of maybe it's just like a tutoring like area. Maybe that's where like the kids, if they have more questions, they go after school for extra help or something. That's what I kind of like figure for that. And they each have different elements in the rooms that correspond with the spells that they learn in that path of magic, which I'm not an expert on. So it really is. Some of them are a stretch. Some of them are just like pretend just because I needed to think of something because I had already done two other offices. And upstairs is going to be where the cafeteria is and like the place where the Sims could get the food, which does not work in the magic realm. So there is one room that's just completely pointless in the magic realm, and it is where you get the food because you cannot interact with it with this stored of lot is what I had seen. I thought maybe you could at least grab food from it, but that's not even a possibility. And this one is the office of my favorite sage. It's Morgan Ember's office. I love them. I've had them marry multiple of my Sims, and I went with a red color palette to kind of match their outfit. And I put fire around because I believe that one of the powers is to light things on fire. So I have a bunch of that around. I put an ice chest because I think you could also freeze Sims. It's hard to remember, but I was looking at a Sims 4 guide when I was doing these rooms, and so any little item that you think corresponds with something probably does because I was looking at a thing to help me. And this is the practical magic sage where you can learn how to like speed up the plant growth by making plants grow. You can immediately repair objects. So I put a bunch of plants around. I put some vegetables that maybe he conjured up. I also put a couple of tools down to make it like he'd be like doing a demonstration. He'd be like, yeah, you don't need this anymore because you could just repair it with the spell. Kind of like that. And I went for a lot of green, but turns out that this sage hates this room. Like, he hates it. I When I put them all in to take a picture at their desks, he was so bored because apparently he's a snob, and he was like, I hate this decor. And I'm like, well, thanks. I made it personal for you. And this is the third sage, which I think is mischief magic. I went with a lot of purple because the sage has a purple outfit. That's kind of what I was like thinking when I was looking at them. And so I filtered by purple and I placed a bunch of different clutter around. I put Christmas wreaths in this one because it's almost December. Well, when this video goes up, it will be December, and I wanted to use some of them. I thought they looked really nice framing the windows in this part. And this is the room that was the least functional. I had to move some of the plants outside. So the like big luscious green like grass kind of had to be sized down for the desk to work. I had to move the chandelier because the chandelier was blocking the pathway. This was the area where they were telling me that it was one of the student desks that was blocking the way, but I knew that couldn't be the case because there was enough room for the sim to walk past, and I moved the chandelier and it was completely fine. This is just another cauldron room. I figured that we'd probably need another cauldron, and I'm glad that I did because this is the cauldron that guy was using the entire time I was taking pictures and videos of this. And this is the non-functional cafeteria in the magic realm. You can't do anything with this little bar area where you get the food, but it will hopefully work as a high school. We'll see. I put like a fake counter situation over there that has different things that Sims could pretend to grab. Like there's cups and fruit, things like that. Some more like magical decor to kind of tie it in to make it like fit into it more because this giant like cafeteria bar seemed a little like out of place in this like more old fashioned like fancy build. So I wanted to like try to like hide it a little bit by just bringing in other decor pieces that would match. And over here is a coffee bar. There's a tea area. I put a dishwasher just in case because I don't know like what your Sims might need when cleaning up. I just put one just in case. What I noticed when my Sims were eating mac and cheese from the cauldrons is that they just put their stinky plates in their inventory. So I hope it stays that way so that they don't like dirty up my classrooms. One of them did try to put their coffee mug down on one of these tables though. So if that's gonna bother you, I would definitely recommend just deleting those two items so that there aren't a bunch of stinky coffee mugs around. But if that's your thing, then keep it. And in here, I didn't have a theme for this room. So I just put a bunch of different clutter that I thought looked nice together. Yeah, that was it. It's small. There's not a lot of desks. That's supposed to be the second classroom because I think you only need two for functional high school gameplay. I really am hoping you could just have one though, because I'm unsure about how this room will function. We'll see though. And this is the cafeteria. The first time I did this voiceover, I couldn't stop laughing at how tiny this cafeteria was. I tried to fit as many tables in as I could and chairs, and I probably some of the chairs might not like your Sims might not be able to get to, but you never know. It's a possibility, but there are chairs around. I don't think you need more than this. I think this is probably a fine number for The Sims. In real life, it would be a little bit laughably small. And I did put a trash can. I didn't put a trash can outside though, so maybe I need to do that. And yeah, the music started playing, which means that we're going to be getting into the screenshots soon, I believe. I just put a bunch of pictures on the walls in here because it looked very plain and boring. And yeah, I was worried. I think I put the music on accident. They'll probably be pushed up. These are the screenshots of the interior of the build. You'll be able to see the three sages at their desks and stuff, which is my favorite part. There they are. Yeah, see? He was so bored in that room. But that's okay. I think it looks nice with him in it. And the mac and cheese cauldron. Yeah, that's the whole build. I'll have these I'll have this up on the gallery soon. I'm not sure when, but yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.